Okay, so we're going to talk about some probabilities here, section 5.1, question E3, and we'll just go through these. We have two dice being rolled. Here is the result of the first dice and the second die. So the probability of not getting doubles. In other words, we want all the rolls that don't lie on this diagonal. And that's actually interesting because it's easier to look at this. We have 6 that are doubles, pretty easy to see, one for each number. And we're subtracting that from the 36 overall. So 30 out of 36 have the not doubles. 6 out of the 36 are doubles. 30 out of the 36 are not doubles. We reduce that to 5/6. Probability of getting a sum of 8. Well, we already know our denominator here can be 36 before we reduce it anyway. And a sum of 8, we're going to be able to find a pattern for most of these things. So here I'm finding an 8. Here's also an 8. Here's an 8. And I noticed that on this diagonal and only on this diagonal am I getting the sums of 8. And I count them as 5 of them. Which makes sense because unless I roll a 1 on the first roll, there's one and only one way to get a total of 8 with my other, I guess I should be pointing here, with my other 5 first rolls. So 5 out of the 36 here, and that doesn't reduce. Probability of getting a sum of 5 or 11, so I'm going to count those separately. So first of all, I notice this is my diagonal with 5, so that'll give me 4 options. 11 is going to be right here, so that'll give me another 2. Now what do I do with those? Do I multiply or do I add them? Well, because these are mutually exclusive events, in other words, I couldn't get a sum of 5 and get a sum of 11 if I roll 2 dice. It's impossible to get both of them. Because of that, I can use the addition rule to add that 4 and that 2 to give me 6 out of 36, which reduces to 1/6. Probability of a 4 occurring on the first dice. I can look at the chart and say my first row 4. Well, these 6 entries all have first row 4, and there's no other entries that have that. So 6 out of 36 or 1/6. Or I can just simplify the problem a little bit. Well, I have 6 options on my first roll. They're equally likely, and only one of those 6 is a 4. So I could directly get that answer 1/6. Probability of getting at least 1/6. Well, you might think it's 12 because we have six different ways to get a 6 on the first, 6 different ways to get a 6 on the second. But these events are not mutually exclusive. Because it is possible to get 6 on both of them. And so we notice that if we count these up, we're going to get 11. And why is that? Because this one here is counted, it's double counted in a sense. It's counted when we did the row and when we did the column. And you can also do it in that way. You can add up all the results for one, all the results for second, and then subtract out whatever is in the intersection or whatever is getting double counted. Or we can just count them up as 11 over our same denominator at 36, and that does not reduce. Probability of getting a 4 on both dice. Well, there's only one way to do that. And sometimes people balk at this a little bit because you may think, well, any other way, if I get a 4-3 and then switch the order, I get a 3-4. So if I get a 4-4, I can switch them and get another 4-4. It doesn't work like that when we divide this sample space into these 36 outcomes. There's only one of each double. There's 2 of everything else, but there's only 1 of each double. So that gives us 1 out of the total of 36. And probability of getting 5 is the absolute value of the difference of the 2 numbers. Okay, now we're starting to get a little nerdy with this, but let's go ahead and finish this out. So absolute value of difference means 6 minus 1 or 1 minus 6 shouldn't matter. 2 would be 7 would be the only way we could get an absolute, unless we had a -3, which we certainly can't. So really the only thing we can get is a 1 and a 6. 1 minus 6, 6 minus 1 would both give us, when we take the absolute value, would give us a 5. And of course there's two of those. There's the 6, 1 and the 1, 6. Those are the only two that if you subtract the two numbers, you're going to get either 5 or -5. And so 2 out of 36 or 1 out of 18.